Have you ever rewatched Tangled as an adult and realized you were watching a completely different movie than the one you saw as a kid? Today we're looking at why Disney's 2010 film about Rapunzel has become one of the most emotionally charged rewatches for adult women, and why the story that moved you at 8 hits so much harder at 28. For anyone who needs a refresher, Tangled follows Rapunzel, a young woman who has spent her entire life locked in a tower by Mother Gothel, the woman she believes is her mother. Gothel kidnapped her as a baby to exploit the magical healing power of her golden hair, and has kept her isolated ever since through fear and manipulation. When a charming thief named Flynn Rider stumbles into the tower, Rapunzel strikes a deal with him to take her to see the floating lights she has watched from her window every year on her birthday. What starts as a simple bargain turns into a journey of self-discovery, as Rapunzel uncovers the truth about who she really is and where she actually belongs. When kids watch Tangled, they see a girl with magical hair, a charming thief, and a villain who sings a catchy song. The colors are gorgeous, the jokes land, and the lantern scene is genuinely beautiful. But something shifts when you come back to this film as an adult woman. Part of what makes that shift so striking is how different Rapunzel's story actually is from what Disney had been telling us for decades. Snow White dreamed of a husband. Cinderella needed a prince to escape her life. Even Ariel's whole adventure kicked off because she wanted to be with a guy. Rapunzel breaks from all of that. Her dream has nothing to do with romance. She wants to see the floating lights. One interpretation put it this way: if a Fairytale GPS had made its way into her tower, she would have used that instead of Flynn Rider. For adult women watching, that distinction lands in a way it simply does not when you are a kid. You understand now what it actually means for a story to center a woman's own curiosity. Mother Gothel is, at her core, an emotional abuser. Disney confirmed this was intentional. Director Nathan Greno has said that Gothel could not be overtly mean, because if you play an extremely dominant and cruel villain, the girl ends up meek and downtrodden with almost nothing of a person. So instead, Gothel wraps her control in warmth. She is funny, she is charming, and on the surface, she sounds like someone who genuinely cares. The details of how she operates are where the film gets genuinely uncomfortable for adult viewers. She convinces Rapunzel that the lanterns in the sky are just stars, keeping her from ever questioning the one thing that might lead her to the truth. When Rapunzel pushes back on anything, Gothel responds with lines like, "Oh great, now I'm the bad guy," instantly flipping herself into the victim. The song Mother Knows Best spends 3 full minutes picking Rapunzel apart while disguising every insult as concern. When Flynn enters the picture, Gothel constructs an entirely false narrative to make Rapunzel believe he is using her, which sends Rapunzel right back into her arms. The animation team even designed Gothel's hugs to feel suffocating on purpose. Kids watch these scenes and see a mean lady being mean. Adult women watch them and feel something closer to recognition. The tactics she uses, the guilt, the reframing, the way affection becomes a reason to stay. Those patterns show up in real relationships all the time. There is a moment early in the film that barely registers when you are a kid, but hits like a gut punch when you are grown. Rapunzel stands at the edge of the tower, looking out at the lanterns she has watched every year of her life, and all she wants is to see them up close. For kids, this is just the setup for the adventure. For adult women, this is often the part that makes them cry. Rapunzel has missed 18 years of living. 18 years of being told that her curiosity was dangerous, that wanting more was ungrateful, that the safest thing she could do was stay exactly where she was. A lot of women recognize that math, counting up the years they spent shrinking themselves to fit someone else's version of safe. The scene that always gets pointed to as the emotional center of the film is right after Rapunzel steps outside the tower for the first time. For about 30 seconds, she is the happiest person on screen. She rolls in the grass, laughs out loud, runs through an open field, and then she collapses. The guilt slams into her all at once, and she curls up on the ground, convinced she has done something terrible. Kids read this as Rapunzel being scared of the outside world. Adults read it as something far more specific. That is exactly what it feels like to leave a controlling relationship or a toxic family dynamic. The freedom and the guilt arrive at the same time. You can be genuinely relieved that you left and still feel crushing shame about it. Tangled shows this honestly, without rushing past it. And here is what makes the movie feel like a healing fantasy for so many women. In the film, Rapunzel gets confirmation that leaving was the right call. She finds parents who welcome her home without condition. She gets the lanterns and the truth, and someone who chooses her freely. Real life does not always deliver that kind of closure, but the fantasy of it, the idea that one day you will find out you were right all along, that the tower was never your home, that you deserved so much better the entire time, that is what keeps people coming back to this movie again and again. Tangled ages the way very few Disney films do. Then Frozen came out in 2013 and became the cultural moment that completely overshadowed it. But that staying power is part of why it resonates so deeply now. It found its audience through rewatches and conversations between women who realized they were all crying at the exact same scenes. The reason it keeps mattering to audiences has nothing to do with Disney's plans. It is because the movie's real conflict was about the voice in Rapunzel's head that told her she was not enough, the one that sounded sounded exactly like someone who loved her. Kids can enjoy the adventure without understanding where that voice comes from. Adults know it by heart. So when people ask why Tangled hits harder now than it did in 2010, the answer is that we grew up, and we started recognizing the parts of the story that were always there. This is Ladies First, watching women in movies. Here, we empower women by reviewing and discussing films that highlight their stories, struggles, and achievements. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.